I procrastinated about making this video, but I got lots done. I did the dishes, cleaned the litter box, checked my emails. You know how it goes. Why do I procrastinate over a painting sometimes though? And how can I change that? I'm going to tell you some things that have worked for me when I find myself putting off working on a certain painting. Hi, I'm Kim. I'm a self-taught part-time artist documenting my journey, and I'm going to show you that if I can do it, so can you. Back now. Sorry about the wait. I just had to reorganize my fridge. Let's get working on this painting. I divided up some larger paper into sections and gave myself a limit of using 3 colors plus black and white. I will admit it, I am a perfectionist. And I might have a few other issues as well. But when it comes to putting things off, I can narrow down my triggers a bit. I put things off when I'm overwhelmed, when the project seems too big to handle. I want everything to be perfect and I worry about failing. As it relates to painting, I want my paintings to be amazing, to express how I feel, to have perfect composition, for the colors to be perfectly blended and harmonized. I have a picture in my mind and the finished result has to be like that, or I'm not going to do it at all. But wait, I'm new. How does that make sense? How can I be a world-famous art genius when I've just started out and I'm learning as I go? Because I have this lofty goal in my mind when I start a painting, and also I have the knowledge that I'm new and don't know how to get to that desired result, I get overwhelmed sometimes. The whole task seems way too big to handle. I want everything to be perfect, but it can't possibly be perfect. So I worry about failing. And because I'm worried about failing, somehow it makes sense in my head to not try, to give up before I even start. Then, to make it even worse, I beat myself up for not being that fantastic artist, for not being good enough, and for not doing the work that I know I need to do to get the practice I need to become a better artist. And then it goes around and around and around in a never-ending negative loop. Maybe you can relate. There's a certain painting I'm thinking of, especially, that gave me a lot of trouble. It was the biggest canvas I've ever worked on, and I was doing it for a friend. At first, I had in my mind something that I wanted to do, and I tried to do it, but it wasn't working out. I had put my mind to doing something special and was trying to do that instead of being free and open to what the painting wanted to do. I was putting way too much pressure on myself to make something beautiful for my friend. It was only when I let go of that and just worked by feel and intuition that I was able to finish the painting. And that painting is my favorite so far. Partly because I love how it turned out, but also because I know how much anguish went into it and that I came out the other side. Sometimes I get this feeling of frustration, anger, being trapped by the feeling of wanting something different to have happened. It's hard to describe that feeling, but it's like I want to explode because I can't do what I want to do. At times, this is when the self-doubt starts to creep in. You're not good enough. Who do you think you are trying to paint? You'll never get it, etc., etc. Since I did my friend's painting, I know that each painting has at least one point in it where it feels like it's a disaster and that nothing will come of it. I just want to rip it down off the easel, tear it up, and throw it in the garbage. When I get to that point, I know I need to leave it for a while because it's got too much bad energy about it. So I turn it around so it's not looking at me all the time and come back to it another time when I feel ready. So why do we procrastinate? Personally, I procrastinate when I don't know what to do or haven't done something before. You might look at a million videos to try and figure out how to paint, but there's a certain point when you have to realize that no amount of research is going to give you the actual experience. You just have to jump in and try it out. No amount of videos or reading is going to make you comfortable doing it. So how can we beat this procrastination thing? Here are some things that work for me. I clarify my goals. What feeling am I trying to express? And is my painting giving me that vibe? What kind of colors do I want to use? What kind of mark making do I like? I love working on big canvases, using smooth arching shapes and using bright colors. While I do admire minimalist neutral artwork, when I've tried working that way, I always end up adding more color and shapes. So I go with my intuition now. I know that there's a certain feeling I want to capture. For me, it's a feeling that almost takes my breath away. So I choose some colors that I'm drawn to and play with them on the canvas. I change my environment. To get a different perspective, I might take a photo of my painting and go to a coffee shop. First of all, the walk there is a good chance to get away from the art studio. With my coffee, I pull up the photo and look at it, maybe make it black or white or turn it upside down. Seeing it differently usually shows me what the problem is, or gives me an idea of something I want to do differently. I try to eliminate distractions. I leave my phone in the other room so I don't look at my text or answer emails or scroll on social media. I put on some music to give me energy and jump right in. I set myself a deadline or a limitation. When I say this, I don't mean the kind of deadline that gives pressure. I mean, I tell myself I have a certain amount of time to work, say 15 minutes, or let myself only put down 1 or 2 colors. I give myself a break, both emotionally and physically. I might put the painting away for a while, or work on something else, or go for a walk, or do some cooking. I know that if I'm frustrated, nothing good is going to happen unless I take a break for a bit. If I put the painting away for a while, then one day, all of a sudden, could be a few days later or a few months later, something will pop into my head about a direction to go with it. I would say I give myself the grace to not do anything if that's what I really want. I try to pay attention to my mind and my body and listen to what's really going on. If all I really want to do is watch TV, then I let myself do it and try not to guilt trip myself. Also, my interpretation of being creative most days is flexible. There are lots of creative things I like doing, like browsing through a magazine and looking at what photos move me, going for a walk and paying attention to the sights and sounds of nature, that counts. Going into the art room and organizing my paint and brushes counts, or looking at my old art journals. Break the task up into smaller pieces. I usually work in short bursts of time and on multiple pieces at once, so often I will add 1 or 2 colors to several pieces at once. It will never be the same on all of them. So I add that color however and wherever I want to, and then my time is up for the day. So I leave them to dry and check in on how they dried later in the day. How I deal with not knowing what to do next is to think logically about the painting. What do I like about it? What don't I like about it? Is there any underlying feeling that I get from the painting? Sometimes these give me an idea of what to do. For instance, if the painting just feels like a big mess of dark colors, I might try to paint over some of that dark with a lighter color. Or if I was trying to paint a loose, free-form line but it came out too straight and tight, I might roll a paint roller over that part to break it up. If nothing in the painting is saying anything to me, I might sand down some places to get rid of some of the parts I don't like. Or paint over all or part of it. Whenever I've done something bold and drastic because I'm frustrated, it's happened that the act of ruining it sparks something in me and gives me an idea. I break the painting up into small steps. I take a look at it and ask, what one part do I not like, and cover that part up. Or, what section do I like, and is there something in the painting that balances out the part that I do like? Thinking of it in sections and not as a whole helps it to be not so overwhelming. So, we chatted about some of the things I do when I feel myself procrastinating. Most of the time, these things work for me. But another couple of thoughts. First of all, it's okay to not paint every day. It's okay to do what works for you, because you know yourself best. Personally, I know that if I take too long off, it's really hard to get back into it. So that's why I try to do something every day. Another thing is mindset. I try to keep in mind that I'm playing and experimenting, and that if I like what I create, that's great, but it's not a must. Even famous artists don't only create great art, they have lots of ugly paintings and experiments too.